Hi crafters, it's Kathy coming to you today from Scrap and Bean. For Try It Tuesday, I'm going to be trying out infusions. I've used these quite a bit before, but I have a few new ideas that I thought I'll try and just experiment and see what happens. But we're going to start with a very basic of just sprinkling them out on a white cardstock. This one's terracotta that I happen to be using, and there you got some nice dark sprinkles. So you can see how much I've got on there. And these are like a little bit of excitement in a bottle. So each time it comes out a little bit different. So I'm just spraying on some water and watch what happens. A little bit more, a little bit more. Like each squirt you do, it changes it up a little bit. And I hope you can see around the edges is this little spray of different color, specks of different, that's a little better. It just gives you this burst of really neat color. So this one I'm going to let just sit aside to air dry. You can also take your powders, sprinkle it right onto your surface, add your moisture that way, and then put your cardstock down into it. So you can see what happens there. It comes out a little bit differently. And you have some control, but not a lot. So it's always a bit of a surprise. And each time you use it, it's going to be a little bit different. So kind of neat. Now you can air dry, you can heat dry. Here's one that I set aside earlier. I'm going to have a problem here with my leftovers. This one I've let air dry. You can see it's a little bit wet here still, but this is air dried. These are obviously wet. This is one that I heat dried. No, this is one I took a paper towel and decided to go like this to dry it up. And you can see what that does. It takes the intensity away, so it's not as nearly as intense when you do it that way with paper towel. So it gives you some control of how intense do you want it, or do you want it a little bit lighter. And this one, I'm really hoping that you can see how there are multiple colors in here. See, there's some little pinks, some yellows. It's mostly this orange. This is terracotta. And it also has brown walnut. Every one of these infusions has brown walnut in there. But you get all these little spattering of other colors, which makes it just really nice to work with. So you can also mix your colors. You don't have to stick with just one. We'll try some, this is Green Man. And I have one here, I believe, that's kind of a Golden Sand, it's called. So we'll try those two out together. And let's just see what happens. That's the Golden Sand coming to life. And there's your Green Man, which to me looks more like Blue Man, but it's called Green Man. So that's kind of cool to even combine them. That's another one we'll set aside. And I also, my next thing I wanted to try, and this is something I haven't done before, so I don't know if it'll work out, but you know what, when you're trying things, you just got to try. I, ahead of time, used some Versamark ink, stamped it, and then put clear embossing powder on there. And I wanted to see if this would work like a resist with this product. So we'll sprinkle, this one is magenta. Looks dark right now, but it should come out a nice bright magenta pink. I want lots of color on there, so we'll put lots of powder. And let's see what happens. Woo, there comes the pink. So does it act like a resist? Well, let's try it. Now, of course, it's going to dull it down, or at least take out some of the strength of that, because I'm using a paper towel. But actually, that comes out not too bad. Now, if I was ready to use this on a project, I'd fill in a little bit more of these edges, perhaps. Yeah. Not bad. It's not a perfect resist like it is with some kind of products on top of that resist technique, but it definitely works. I could work with that. Just want to zoom out a little bit so you can make sure you're seeing the whole project. The other thing I wanted to try is, actually I have a few things, as long as I don't forget any of them, to show you. I want to try using it with a stencil. So another piece of cardstock, and let's go with snowflakes. So because I'm using so much water, it's going to be very runny, and I think it would run right underneath my stencil. So to prevent that, okay, my stencil's not the cleanest, so might not really prevent it. I'm using pixie spray. I'm going to spray that on the back of my stencil. It doesn't make it really sticky, it more makes it like a post-it note. So it'll cling to my paper while I need it there, but not forever. And let's go with Sleigh Blue. So we'll sprinkle that on there. I don't know how much of it's going through the stencil holes, but we'll find out. Oh, and I see this stencil wasn't sticking all the way down there. Okay, so it won't be a perfect image, but maybe it'll be usable. And let's see what happens. Actually, I quite like that. I think I would do it with a lighter blue, not so much powder, so it's not as intense, so it looks more like snowflakes. But I can work with that. That works pretty good. Yeah, actually I like it like that when it's calmed down a little bit more. And just to use up some of this that's on the edges, I'm going to swipe this through here and get some edges on it. Okay, so that didn't really change it up. So let's zoom right out. So you can see I've got a 12 by 12 page here. And if I was doing that on a scrapbook page, oh, it's not the cleanest. So we'll pick this dirty spot and just put that stencil right on top of it. But I do need, this is very thin and I'm going to have lots of water. So I do want to make sure that I spray that stencil. Put it down. And let's go for raspberry. Raspberry sounds delicious. And here comes the magic with the water. Oh yeah, that's pretty. Woo! Yeah, I like that color. Like all this spattering around here. Okay, so because I have so much water there, I am definitely going to pick up some of that excess with my paper towel. Otherwise, I'm really concerned that when I pick up the stencil, the water would just go running everywhere. So here we go. Is that going to work? Yeah, I love it. So the front of the card, or even this, I'm just gonna, that would be the beginning of my scrapbook layout. Really like it. Really like that. Okay. And I have some more because I really like this stencil, so I'm just going to keep on grabbing stencils. I've got a couple of them here. I think I'll only need one at a time, Kelly. All right, honeycomb. Ooh, like that. Lately, I've been into doing things with bees. Okay, this is a stencil. I'm going to need to put my pixie spray on there. Love the pixie spray. Put it right down like that, and then because it's beehive stuff, I'm going to use this golden sand, so we got some yellows going on there. That's quite a bit. Might be a little intense. Like it. I like it so far. And let's try patting that off a little bit. I'm not brave enough to just pull it off without taking some of that excess water. Okay, I like that. Very cool. And I also want to try, because there's going to be some of it on this side of the stencil. I'm going to try squirting that. Just, is that the front or the back? That's the front. Get that nice and wet. Dry off my surface so my cardstock doesn't get soaked. And what if I just turn that wet stencil over on here? Now what happens? Okay, probably better if I did it with a clean paper towel because I'm getting my white paper kind of dirty. But let's see what happens. Okay, so you get the opposite. So you get 2 designs from 1 stencil. I really like that. Yeah, that's one that I would definitely repeat again. What if we do like a rainbow? Well, it's not really a rainbow, it's a Sunburst Stencil. And do I have a longer piece of cardstock? Maybe this one here. And again, I'm going to start with my pixie spray. Put my Sunburst down on my surface. And what kind of colors should we do here? We're going to do in the navy. So I'm thinking that's got to be some kind of a blue shade. Probably a navy blue. And I want to do some multiple colors. So we'll do this Golden Sands. I think the stencil will be good in just one color too, but and then we're going to go with magenta. See if that gets wild or not. Now if I was doing this on a project, I would get rid of this white strip here because I wouldn't want a solid color, but I can always trim that off afterwards too. Here comes the excitement. Woo, look at that pink and the yellow and the blue all just coming to life. Love it. Now I'll get rid of some of that extra water, which is also going to get rid of some of the intensity. Okay, I like that. Yeah, I could totally work with that. That's going to be fun. Now, the stencil. What would happen? Okay, part of the reason I don't get much of it a stencil is because I've patted it dry already with my paper towel. So I'm just going to get it wet again and see if there's any little specks on there that are going to come to life and see what happens. Yeah, it does. So that gives you different design. A little more abstract. This is more a little defined, but depending what you're going to do with it, either one of them is going to work. I also have another one here. Now, if I wasn't filming this, I wouldn't be cleaning up between. I just use that stuff up. My paper isn't quite big enough for the stencil, but we're just going to make it work. Okay, let's just go crazy and grab some colors. Here's some green, here's some blue, and here's some Rocky Road. I'm just going to throw that in there for fun. Do a little color burst. Now, should I be brave enough? Oh no, I'm not. Yes, I will. I'm going to pick it up and we're just going to see how much runs underneath there. Okay, because you know, it's Try It Tuesday. We're just going to try it. Actually, not bad. I kind of like that. That's kind of cool. And now I have this stencil that I haven't patted dry. And what happens if we just put that down on a piece of paper? Okay, I'm actually quite impressed with how the water isn't running underneath it very much at all for how much moisture I put on there. And different, right? Maybe not that gorgeous, but it could be the beginning of a background. It could be kind of interesting. So those are some cool designs. I quite like that with a little mandala look on there. What if we layered something? So I have this one here, and what if I put some, here's a little small design on there. Back with my pixie spray. Love that stuff. Perfect for this application. So we have this paper that I've already got some infusions on, and we're just going to add some, this is Green Man on top of it, which is kind of a dark color. Quite a dark color. And I see my stencil is not sticking down because it's not a flat piece of paper. So this might be a hot mess, but we'll find out. Whoops. Okay, different, but you can layer them. I quite like that. I would use that again too. Okay, a couple things before my filming runs out of time. Let's experiment with putting down, what color? My golden one. Thought I might have lost track of that. And we know that when it gets wet, it brings it to life. So rather than use water, I'm going to use some gesso, which also has some moisture to it. It's not quite like water, but it's obviously got moisture. And what happens? Okay, that's kind of cool. So you get these streaks. That could be fun. That could be fun. In fact, I'd like to heat that and then put a stencil of something on top of it. Oh, can we stand to listen to the heat gun for a minute? And let's see if it's wet, if it's dry enough to just put something on a stencil. You can probably hear my pixie spray going in the background there. Put that on there, and then let's try some terracotta. Once you got all your stuff out, you might as well just keep playing and trying, right? And to sop it up or not to sop it up? I think maybe I sopped up too much because it's not very dark anymore. So maybe we'll just experiment with let the water run underneath and sacrifice having the detailed design. See what happens. Yeah, so it does. It runs underneath. But I think that layering like that, it almost looks like wood grain background. So if I think it would be kind of cool. I think I almost need to try that again. Let's go with gold again. I've got some other color on here now. But I like that golden with the background. Now look how much goodness is on this stencil. How about if we just turn it over? See what happens. Be risky. Try it out. And pull it off. Okay, really not that much better. A little bit less runny because there's less water on there. But worth trying. I would layer it, but be careful with my stencil and get a clearer design on there. Kind of like that. And I know I had something else. Oh, I want to try this. So if we painted, can we paint with it? So I'm going to take Olive Tree, and this is a card that I made just recently actually, and I want to get this wet to activate it. So my water's here, my powder's there, because I don't want it to be soaked. So I'll get my paintbrush wet, but not total wet. Pick up some powder. Okay, I have no idea what I'm doing, people. So I don't know what this is going to turn out like, but hey, let's try it Tuesday. And I'm just going to paint in these leaves, and guess what? Nothing's happening. Okay, there we go. Something's happening. So you need more pigment, less water. And it seems to be transparent. That's showing up on there even. So you could paint with it too. It's basically it's your pigment, right? I think I've got a little too much water because it's kind of runny. So it's actually the consistency I'm using. It's kind of like doing watercolors. So just another way to use them. And if you happen to be looking for this stamp, it's called Those We Love. Beautiful stamp. Okay, so you get the idea. You can paint with them too, which is kind of cool. And they're transparent, so you can see through them a bit. And I think that's going to be it for today for Try It Tuesday. So I hope you get out your infusions. We have lots of them in stock, a truckload of them at both of our locations, but do give them a try. Have fun, and we'll see you next Try It Tuesday. And there's one last project that I've done with the infusions. Several of the different colors I did onto papers and then just die cut them out. This is all of these different leaves are in the Tim Holtz, I think it's called Fall Foliage Collection. So all of these leaves and all of those. And then put them into my little art journal. So you could do the same thing onto a scrapbook page, onto cards. So I hope you try out the infusions.